Before I get into this video, King Kong Crazy discovered some information, and Lenon Honor covered it in a live stream, showing that the city had plans to demolish the property that Umar Johnson purchased. I will put a link in the description to both of these videos. So you remember when Umar Johnson said this.
So where are we right now on the $150,000 taxes that we owe? I have an agreement with Newcastle County that I just made last week, and I have to mail them a $25,000 down payment check on back taxes that we shouldn't owe had we not been sabotaged by both the closing attorney and the IRS. So we entered into agreement with Newcastle County, $25,000 down. We're going to have to pay about $10,000 a month to satisfy the bill before the next bill comes around, which I believe is July of 2020.
And here he is saying it again.
Because these bills are not small by any stretch of the imagination. So we owe the county about $150 total. We didn't already gave them about 40. So we probably almost down to 100. We spaced it out over the year. Next tax bill come out in July. So we trying to have it paid off by July and have our exemption status by that point so we don't have to pay it again.
I said this before. This property is going to be Umar Johnson's exit strategy. He only purchased this property because GoFundMe was closing in on him. I will elaborate on this in a future video. And I believe everything was going as planned. I don't believe he had any intentions of paying these taxes or the bills associated with the property. But we started to make videos pointing out the unpaid taxes and the other unpaid bills associated with this property since he purchased it. So he had to do something to make it seem like he was addressing these issues. Because you have to remember, the first tax bill came out in July of 2019. I showed you in this video that the county collections department was contacting random people that they believed to be associated with Umar in regards to the unpaid taxes. However, Umar only entered into a payment agreement with the county in December. I believe he was forced to do that because in every live video he did, someone would ask about the unpaid taxes. Then he was on a radio interview and the host referenced the video I did about the unpaid taxes.
Well, I want to say I was very disturbed, Brother Umar, that some brother would take the time and go through, seem like 30 years of research to talk about the tax situation with your school.
So he had to do something. He had to make it look like he was addressing the unpaid taxes. So he entered into a payment agreement with the county. But we are going to see he did not fulfill that agreement. So based on the video clips I played at the beginning, his plan was to pay off the county taxes before the new tax bill came out. Well, the new tax bill is out, so let's take a look. If we go to the Newcastle County website and enter the parcel ID, we see that there's a principal balance due of $30,872.33 and a penalty of $1,543.60 due for the 2019 taxes. So he did not pay off the 2019 taxes. If we look, we see the 2020 taxes are now due. You remember I told you in this video he entered into a payment plan in December to pay the county taxes. If you look, you see a payment was made in December. That is when the payment plan was set up. So the next payment should have been in January. But if we look, we see no payment was made in January. We see a payment was made in February. But since then, no payment has been made. So he agreed with the county to make monthly payments towards paying off the taxes. But he has not made a payment in 6 months. I just want to explain something before we look at the next parcel number. If we add this amount up, the total is $92,942.91. But if you look at the paper bill, it shows $93,251.63. There is a difference of $308.72. That is because they already factored in the 1% penalty for August. It's 1% of the balance. The balance before the new bill was $30,872.33. 1% of that is $308.72. So that is where the difference is coming from. For the purpose of this video, I am using the total listed on the site, not from the image of the paper bill. There is a good chance by the time this video is posted, the balance listed on the site will reflect the August penalty. So now if we look at the next parcel ID, we see the same thing. There is a principal balance and penalty due for the 2019 taxes, and now there is a balance due for the 2020 taxes. If we look at the payment history, we see the same thing. He made a payment in December when the payment agreement was set up. There was no payment in January. There was a payment in February, but there has been no additional payments since then. So the new total on the county tax bill is $143,280.27. Now let's look at the city tax bill. If we look, we see the balance shows $0. And if I click View Payments and Adjustments, we see it shows Late Exemption Application and the date posted is 6/24/2020. So what happened? Here is what we know. You remember when Umar Johnson made the following video back in February of 2020 stating that FDMG has received tax exemption from the city of Wilmington.
I got some good news that I want to read to the donors of FDMG. Are y'all ready for this letter? We got some good news about the school. Are y'all ready for the good news that we have about the school? Are y'all ready for the good news that I'm about to read about the school? I have a letter from the city of Wilmington. I have a letter from the city of Wilmington. I have a letter from the city of Wilmington. This is for only my supporters. This is only for my supporters. If you're not a donor, I'm not going to go there. As a nonprofit organization, which has been approved for an exemption under the City of Wilmington's Property Tax Exemption Program, the City of Wilmington is pleased to inform you that you will no longer be required to reapply for the tax-exempt program every 2 years in order to receive this exemption on your property. Your tax exemption will occur automatically. This is an effort by the city to ease the paperwork burden. According to this letter, brothers and sisters, we have received our tax exemption from the city of Wilmington.
We know that was a lie, and I outlined why in the following video. Then he made a video in May of 2020 stating that FDMG has now regained tax-exempt status with the IRS, which is not what really happened. We will come back to this.
The important announcement that I have is after 6 years of fundraising without none of my donors being able to write off their donations on their taxes, after 6 long years of standing by your brother, Dr. Umar Johnson, giving selflessly your dollars and quarters and pennies and nickels, getting nothing in return, I am pleased, and I'm only speaking to my supporters. I'm only speaking to my supporters. I am only speaking to my supporters. I want to say, effective today, May the 4th of 2020, we have regained our tax-exempt status.
So after he made that video in May stating that FDMG has regained tax-exempt status with the IRS, Here is audio of him saying FDMG has tax-exempt status with the IRS, but not with the city or the state of Wilmington.
That I am thankful to Almighty God and the ancestors and the Orishas and the Loas and the Abusums and the Netters for blessing us once again with tax-exempt status. The IRS has granted us tax-exempt status. We still have to get it for the city of Wilmington and the state of Delaware. I could not apply until now because they require that you have IRS tax exemption before you can get city and state tax exemption.
So this is more proof that when he said in February that the city granted FDMG property tax exemption, he was not telling the truth. We also heard him say he could not apply because they require you to have IRS tax exemption. So this brings us back to him saying FDMG has regained tax exemption status. If you have been following this whole Umar Johnson fiasco, you know he lost nonprofit status in 2017 for not filing 990s for 3 consecutive years. If you don't know, the IRS Form 990 is an informational tax form that most tax-exempt organizations must file annually. The form gives the IRS an overview of the organization's activities and detailed financial information. And the original entity was registered in Philadelphia. Umar could have followed the IRS process to reinstate the nonprofit status, but that would have required him to supply the 990s. Also, even after the nonprofit status is reinstated, the revocation remains on record. Let me give you an example. If we look at this company, we see that their tax-exempt status was revoked in 2011, and it was reinstated in 2018. So if someone wanted to make a donation, but decided to look up the organization's status first, they would see the organization has tax exemption, but at one point it was revoked, which might prompt the person to ask the organization what happened. But what Umar Johnson did was register a new company in Wilmington, Delaware. Let's look that up. You notice the name of the new organization is Frederick Douglass Marcus Garvey Leadership Academy. He then applied for tax-exempt status for the new company. And for the people that might be saying, well, he registered a new business in Delaware because that is where the school is going to be located. Well, typically, this is not how this works. There is really no need to create a new business. All he would have had to do is file for a foreign qualification. The foreign qualification allows you to do business in a state other than the one in which you incorporated or formed your business. So if we look, we see the tax exemption for the original company, Frederick Douglass and Marcus Garvey RGB Leadership Academy, is still revoked. And if we look, we see the new company, Frederick Douglass Marcus Garvey Leadership Academy, has tax exempt status. So when Umar said FDMG has now regained tax exempt status, that is not true, because the original company / entity, Frederick Douglass and Marcus Garvey RGB International Leadership Academy, still has a revoked tax-exempt status. He created a new company / entity that now has tax exemption status. In the video where he is saying that FDMG has regained tax exemption status, he never explains that a new company with a different name was created. That would have been important information to provide, and here is why. Because if you donated and wanted to claim the donations on your taxes, you would need to know the entity name in order to complete the tax paperwork. So you would need to know that Frederick Douglass and Marcus Garvey RGB Leadership Academy is not the name to use, and the correct name would be Frederick Douglass Marcus Garvey Leadership Academy. Because if you try to claim contributions to an organization that has a revoked nonprofit status, you are running the risk of being audited by the IRS. Contributions to the old company / entity was not deductible anyway, and I'll explain why later in this video. So you have to ask yourself, what is Umar Johnson doing on the back end? Is he taking money that is being donated to the Frederick Douglass and Marcus Garvey RGB International Leadership Academy, which has a revoked nonprofit status, and transferring it to Frederick Douglass Marcus Garvey Leadership Academy, because that would be fraudulent? Also, when the nonprofit status for Frederick Douglass and Marcus Garvey RGB International Leadership Academy was revoked in 2017, it was fraudulent for him to continue to ask for donations in the name of that entity. There's a lady with a YouTube channel. Her name is Susan Woods. She also owns a business that deals with multiple aspects of creating and running a nonprofit. Her videos are very detailed. I will put a link to her channel in the description. I want you to listen to something she said.
And you have a letter saying that you have been revoked. You have been revoked. And it is illegal to accept donations or any type of revenues before you get reinstated. Some people may think that because I'm not on the list, the revocation list on the IRS.gov website, that I am free to continue accepting money in my nonprofit organization. That is not true. That is fraudulent and illegal. If you have been notified through a letter that your status has been revoked, you have to cease all operations of your nonprofit organization until you are reinstated.
Also, when Umar Johnson said on the Breakfast Club that we are tax exempt and you can write it off on your taxes, that was not true, and here is why. The original company/entity, Frederick Douglass and Marcus Garvey, RGB Leadership Academy, the one that is still revoked, exemption type is 501c4. According to the IRS website, contributions to civic leagues or other sections 501c4 organizations generally are not deductible as charitable contributions for federal income tax purposes. Also, the organization may be required to disclose that contributions are not deductible when it solicits contributions. If we click on this link, here's what it says. Section 6113 of the Internal Revenue Code provides that certain tax-exempt organizations that are not eligible to receive tax-deductible charitable contributions must disclose in any fundraising solicitations, in an express statement, in a conspicuous and easy recognizable format, that contributions to the organizations are not deductible for federal income tax purposes as charitable contributions. So based on this, the donations/contributions were not tax deductible, and when soliciting contributions/donations, this information has to be disclosed. There are links to all of this in the description so you can review the information for yourself. And I believe he might have been told this when he went to set up this new entity, because he made some interesting statements in the video where he was talking about regaining tax-exempt status.
The important announcement that I have is after 6 years of fundraising, without none of my donors being able to write off their donations on their taxes, after 6 long years of standing by your brother, Dr. Umar Johnson, giving selflessly your dollars and quarters and pennies and nickels, getting nothing in return.
People were asking in the comment section, what does he mean by you did not ask for nothing in return? I believe this was him trying to cover his tracks, because like I outlined, those donations were not tax deductible and he had to disclose that, which he never did. And to top it off, the tax-exempt status was revoked in 2017, so he should not have been soliciting donations/contributions in the name of this entity. So based on this information and what Umar said in the audio I played earlier, he was able to get the city property tax exempt by creating a new entity. I spoke with the person at the city that handles the tax exemptions, and they confirmed that the property now is tax exempt from property tax with the city. I asked for the name of the entity the paperwork was filed under, but the person was unable to provide that because it's outside of the scope of public records. I then asked if you normally confirm the information with the IRS. The person said no. I said interesting, since it's a requirement on the application form. The person then got a little flustered and said I was told to approve it, so I did. Then the person mentioned something about a school. So here's what I got from the conversation. This was approved, but not under the normal process. Here is my take on what is happening here, and it ties into what we now know about this property, that the city was talking about demolishing this property. The property was labeled as blighted in the EPA Brownfields area-wide plan. This property has been a problem for the city of Wilmington even before Umar Johnson purchased it. If we go to the city of Wilmington's website, click General Billing, enter the parcel ID, click Manage Bills for K-12 Management, we see a bunch of instant tickets that were issued. These tickets are issued when citizens violate the city's sanitation code by improperly disposing or placing trash for pickup, or by allowing high grass, weed, junk, and debris or fecal matter to litter their property. We also see a few general billing, license, and inspection fines. I will explain later on in the video what this is. They were also cited a few times for graffiti. If we look, we see it goes back to 2017. This property has been an ongoing problem for the city. I can see a scenario where Umar Johnson tells the city he purchased the property for the purpose of opening a school, and he's in the process of raising money for the renovations. And the city went ahead and granted the property tax exemption because they are hoping the property would finally be fixed up and occupied, and therefore the property would no longer be a nuisance and an eyesore that they have to deal with. So you would think that since he no longer has to pay the city property tax bill, he would have taken care of the other bills. You remember when Umar Johnson said this?
We have not made a payment on the city tax because in order to enter into an agreement with the city tax, they include all outstanding bills. And we didn't want that to happen because we can pay the utilities bill out front, but I was encouraged not to pay the utilities bill up front because we had 5 meters on our bill, but we only have 4 buildings. So the city of Wilmington needed to come out, which they did the day before yesterday. And we walked through with the city to match up the building with the meter. And guess what we found out? That one of the meters were incorrectly labeled. Not only that, we also found that one of the lines needs to be repaired. So I can't be charged for that right now until it is repaired. So in other words, we actually saved some money by being patient because now they have to take those charges off the bill. And then once they take the charges off the bill, we're going to pay the utilities out flat. And then we can do the payment plan for the real estate taxes.
Then he said this.
Waiting on the city to get the water meter situation corrected. There was a meter that was incorrectly labeled water meter. So the city is working on that. Shout out to the city of Wilmington for helping me with that. And as soon as they get the water meter situation taken care of, I'm going to pay off the outstanding utility.
This was 5 months ago, so you would think by now these bills would have been addressed. But if we go to the City of Wilmington's website, select Utility Billing, enter the owner name, and here we see the 7 accounts linked to FDMG. If I click Manage Bills for the first account, we see there is a balance of $276.07. And we see these bills date back to February of 2020 and no payment has been made. If I click on Bill Details, then click on View Bill Image, you see what these bills are for, service charges. And you see what it says here. Our record indicate there has been 0 consumption of water. So when Umar Johnson says that there is a problem with the meters and this is why he has not paid the bill, that is a lie, because the bills have nothing to do with water consumption. If I click on the next bill, we see there is a balance of $398.74. The next bill has a balance of $5,398.28. And this bill dates back to March of 2019. And you see there has been nothing paid. If I click on Bill Details, then click on View Bill Image, we see this bill is for stormwater charges. If we go to the next bill, we see a balance of $398.74. The next bill has a balance of $1,415.84. The next bill has a balance of $2,567.11. And the next bill has a balance of $1,415.84. If we add all of these up, the total is $11,870.62. Now, if we go back and click on General Billing, enter the parcel ID, we see that there is a balance of $2,656.50. They are vacant property bills because this property is on the vacant property list, and these bills were due on January 2nd, 2020. There are 5 LNI tickets. The tickets were originally $50, but since he has not paid them, there is now a $50 penalty on each ticket. Now there is a new bill, General Billing, License and Inspection. If I click on Bill Details, on the description, it says Property Maintenance. So what is this for? Do you remember when Umar Johnson said this?
There was a break-in attempt at the FDMG Academy. One of the windows on the Honorable Frederick Douglass building was bust open with a large boulder rock. I need someone in the Philadelphia, Delaware, Southern Pennsylvania, Northern Wilmington area with a little bit of handyman skills. I need a handyman to go and patch up that window. They didn't get in the building because it would have triggered the alarm. They didn't get in the building, it would have triggered the alarm. It may have still triggered the external alarm, but we need to patch up the window. We need to patch up the window. So I need a handyman to patch up the window.
I spoke with the city about this bill, and they explained that the board from one of the windows was removed. So they had to pay someone to go out and secure the window, board it back up. And they in turn billed the property owner. So let's try to understand this. He said that there was a break-in attempt. He knows that the boards has been removed that helps secure the property. But instead of fixing the problem, he makes a video talking about it, but does not fix the problem. They also explain that these LNI tickets and General Billing, License and Inspection bills are now liens against the property until paid. So if we add up everything we just covered in this video, the total is $157,807.39. So after a year and 6 months of owning this property, nothing of significance has been done. The property is now in worse shape than when it was purchased. The only thing that has been consistent is unpaid bills. I would also like to say, don't be fooled by Umar Johnson's latest video showing a construction crew at the property. What you have to understand is in order for work to be done, permits have to be pulled, and the company that pulled the permits has to outline the reason for the permits. I spoke with the city and a permit was pulled. I asked what was the reason for the permit and was told to clean up fire damage. I requested a copy of the permit. I will make a follow-up video once I have a copy. So what do you think about all of this? Let me know in the comment section.